Purchases book is that subsidiary book in which credit purchase of goods are recorded. It means that purchase of goods for cash and purchase of items other than goods are not recorded in this book. Now, what do I mean by goods? Goods traded in means those items that form part of the stock which are purchased with the purpose of selling. They refer to those products which the enterprise is dealing or trading in. For example, in a stationery shop, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, these will be considered as inventory or stock, but purchase of a computer or a printer, that will be considered as acquiring an asset and not purchase of inventory. So, in our purchases journal or our purchases book, we will only record goods which are purchased on credit. So, the purchases book has the following format, in which we have the date, particulars, invoice number, ledger folio, then the whatever details are there. In the details amount, we will record a trade discount if it is given, and we will deduct it from the gross amount, and final net amount will be shown. See, credit purchases of goods traded in or material used for production will be recorded in the purchases book. Cash purchases won't be recorded in the purchases book since it will be recorded in the cash book, like I told you in the last lecture. And entries in the purchases book are made on the basis of invoices which are received from suppliers with net amount after trade discount. Now, what was the use of a purchases book, you might ask? It helps to have a periodic total of the credit purchases, and ledger posting becomes very easy since all credit purchases are recorded in a single book. Yes, from this purchases book, from this subsidiary book, we will record the balance of this book in our purchases account. Okay. We will see that in the next example. Also, with the purchases book, it becomes easier to check the price charged. So, let us go ahead and do an example from which you will learn how to prepare a purchase book and also what are the mechanics of posting of the purchases book. Okay. Let's do an example. From the following information of Messrs. Naren and Co., prepare the purchase book for the month of February. And these are the transactions that have been given. Okay, alright. I will first write in the books of. Always remember this. Again, this will be free marks for you in your exam. Always write your proformas correctly. You will get some marks. In the books of Messrs. Naren and Co. Purchases book, date, particulars, invoice number, ledger folio, details and amount. Okay, so 2014. 1st February, we have purchased from Messrs. Brown and Co. on credit 5 gross pencils, 1 gross register at 200 rupees per dozen, less trade discount of at 10%. Okay. So that means this is a credit purchase and we can record this in the purchase book. So 1st February, I will write Messrs. Brown and Co. 5 gross pencils at rupees 100. So that will come up to 500. And here I have 1 gross register at rupees 200 per dozen. And I am purchasing 1. Okay, so this is 200 per dozen. Okay, and I have purchased 1 dozen of registers. They have not written here, but you need to assume because they have given here per dozen. It means you need to multiply it with 12. You have purchased 1 dozen of registers. So 12 into 200 will be 2400. Now that gives me a total of 2900. On this less trade discount at 10%. So 290 rupees less, I will get 900 minus 290 is 2610. So in my final column, I will write 2610. Now on 2nd February, we have purchased for cash from Stationery Mart 10 gross exercise books at rupees 60 per dozen. Now since this has been purchased for cash, I will record this in my cash book and not in my purchases book. Now let's see the next transaction. On February 3rd, we have purchased a computer printer for office use from Messrs. Goods on credit for 4,000. We have purchased the computer printer for credit, no doubt about that. But our goods traded in are not printers, they are stationery items. So we cannot record this transaction in our purchases book. We will record it in our journal, but not in the purchase book. Let's see the next transaction. 4th February. We have purchased on credit from the paper company 5 reams of white paper at rupees 100 per ream and 10 reams of ruled paper at rupees 65 per ream with a trade discount of 10%. Okay. So this white paper and ruled paper are our goods traded in. They are the goods which Naren company trades in. So we can record this in the purchases book. So let's record it. 4th February. We are purchasing from the paper company. Five reams white paper, rupees 100 per ream, so that makes it 500. And next one is 10 reams of ruled paper, rupees 65 per ream, so that makes it rupees 650. And I have been given a trade discount of 10%. So my total is 1150 less trade discount at 10%, 115. So if I subtract 10% of 1150, I will get 1035. Next transaction. On 5th February, we have purchased 1 dozen ink pots from Messrs. Varma on credit. Okay, so we can record this item in the purchases book because ink pots are stationery items, which is what the company deals in, what Naren company deals in. It is our good traded in and it has been purchased on credit, so we can record. Messrs. Varma. 1 dozen ink pots at rupees 10. So 10 into 20 will be 120 and we have not been given any okay, we have not rupees 120 and we have not been given any trade discount, so we can directly write off the net amount of 120. Now we total up all these figures. 2610 plus 1035 plus 120, 3765. Remember, always totals are shown with a double line. Now we have we have made all the entries in the purchase book. But this is not yet complete. We have to make supporting ledgers. we will have ledger accounts for each of our creditors, right? Messrs. Brown Paper Company and Verma Brothers. And we will also have a purchase book in which cash purchases will be recorded. So you will have to make separate ledger accounts, one ledger account for purchases, one for each of the supplier. So let me make my accounts. Here I will write purchases account. Who are my suppliers? Messrs. Brown, Messrs. Verma, and Paper Company. Okay. So Messrs. Brown and Company, the Paper Company, and Messrs. Verma and Co. Okay, so let us first record the transactions on in our creditors accounts. So for Messrs. Brown and Company, we are paying 2610. Okay, 2900 and 290. So the journal entry will be purchases account debit to Messrs. Brown and Co. Okay, so and in this I will not mention separately discount allowed, trade discount. I will not mention separately. I will directly write the net amount that is being owed. Okay. So for Messrs. Brown and Company, 2014, 1st February, by purchases account, by purchases, 2610. I am not going to write the gross amount and the discount allowed. I will directly write the net amount, which is 2610. Now my next creditor is the Paper Company. I have, and the net amount is 1035. So same entry in the Paper Company, 2014, 4th February, by purchases account, the net amount. Okay, so what was the net amount? It was 1035. 1035. And the last entry was Messrs. Verma. Messrs. Verma and Brothers, rupees 120. So I will directly write in their account, 2014, 5th February, by purchases account, 120. I am not going to balance these accounts because they have not mentioned any such thing in the question. But usually, if you are given data, you can balance these accounts. If these are the only transactions in that entire month, then the closing balance will come on the debit side. To balance carried forward, to balance carried down 1035, to balance carried down 120, to balance carried down 2610. Okay, so now in my purchases account. In my purchases account, I will pass this entry 2014 on the I will write the closing date. 2014 was not a leap year, so 28th February I will write. Remember, what is the journal entry for a credit purchase? Purchases account debit to the creditor. Okay. So now all my creditors are written in the purchases book. So I will write to sundries. Sundries means it's a collective term. To sundries as per purchases book, for the month of February. And what was my amount? It was 3765. Okay, so I will write my amount here as 3765. I can also record the cash sale in my purchases book. 2nd February, right? 2nd February, 6 into 60 per dozen, and I ordered 10 dozens. But this is the main entry, okay? Two sundries as per purchases book for the month of February. 2nd February, and it has to be in a chronological order, so the 2nd February entry ideally should be above there. But I didn't. I am doing this to cash account. 10 into 60 into 12. 600 into 12. 6 12s are 72. Okay, yeah, I was correct. 7,200. Then on 28th February, buy balance carried down 7,200 plus 3765, 10,965. Okay. And my totals are 10,965, 10,965. So this was the important in purchases account. To record the credit purchases from the which are mentioned in the purchases book, we will write it as two sundries as per purchases book for the month of February. So this was the pro forma of how you create a purchases book and make the subsequent supporting ledgers, and how do you post the purchases book in the purchases account by writing this entry as two sundries as per purchases book for the month. Now this was the concept of your purchases book. Remember, there are only two aspects in deciding what comes into your purchase book. One, is it purchase of a good or a material which the company trades in, and number two, is it bought on credit. If this satisfies these two conditions, that transaction will be entered in your purchase book. And from your purchases book, how will you record it in your purchases account? Like this. Remember the journal entry for credit purchases account debit to credit purchases. But in this case, instead of writing two creditors, you're writing two sundries as per purchases book for the month. Okay, sundry means like a total. So that is all for your purchases book concept. In the next video, we will see purchase returns. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.